Hey, what's up, guys? Rob here. What you're about to listen to is an excerpt from the weekly podcast that I'm a part of called The Juice is Loose. It's just a smaller part to a much larger conversation. So if you are interested in hearing the full episode or subscribing to the podcast or any of the guests on the podcast, you can do so by following the links in the description below. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.
All right, and I was trying to find our top the games that we did the top 20 Wii U games.
Oh, the top 20, yeah.
I can only find like a portion of the list, but I was just gonna run down our top 5 again for people. But after I give Rob, you go next, and then I forgot you hadn't gone yet. So give your favorite things about the Wii U.
Yeah, so I know I'll probably be the one weird one who doesn't love the Miiverse. I have nothing against it, but I just never used it. So the Miiverse is awesome. I love that Nintendo had that. And I really hope that they take the idea to a slightly new level with the Switch, because I'd be all on board for that. But I just never got into it. Nothing against it, never got into it. Honestly, my favorite thing about the Wii U is so simple. We've all said it. It's the games. It's always that library. I've said that as, on my videos and stuff when I talk about it. Yeah, I love my PlayStation and Xbox a lot, but they will never compete with the library of the Wii U. And that's even on, when you consider Nintendo's first party stuff, I've said it before, they weren't, like you said, Juice, a lot of the versions of the franchises that we maybe wanted or expected. We did not get the Metroid that I was hoping we were going to get and that stuff, but every game they released was still awesome. Even the lower tier ones like Kirby and Captain Toad were still great damn games. So it's definitely the games for me, man. Nintendo killed it. The number one thing they had to do beyond the graphics or the controller or the communities or whatever was bring really great games, and they did that in spades. And also, I am a sucker for the gamepad, just like you, Robert. So haters can hate, poo-pooers can poo-poo, but I love the freaking gamepad so much. Even though it's not all that revolutionary, but, I mean, Terrell, everything you say about, you can just touch the icon to start this and that. We do that on our phones all the time, but for your home console, it's awesome. It just totally changes everything. And when I think about, my favorite games that use it, like Zombie U and Wonderful 101, and Rayman Legends and all that stuff, Xenoblade, it makes games better when it's done right. The one thing you could say is there was a lot of opportunities that definitely weren't taken with the gamepad, which really sucks. Deus Ex is another great one. I have that too, of course. T, we've talked about that before. But you know what? For the handful of times it was done perfectly, it changed the way I looked at playing games. And so I will always love the Wii U and Nintendo for making that damn gamepad. So that's it, man. The games and the gamepad. Those are my favorite things.
All right. Yeah, and I think the top 5 games that we kind of ranked was Smash Brothers number 1, Mario Kart 8 was number 2, 3D World was 3, Splatoon was 4, and I think Xenoblade or
was it Bayonetta?
No,
maybe?
That was just out. So it was like
Tropical Freeze.
Tropical Freeze.
Squeeze it into 5. So
yeah. So those were some of those were the top 5 games that we.
The collective Juices Loose word says those 5 games are the best.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with any one of those.
So let's any frustrations? I know there's a whole side of YouTube that kind of broke apart and broke off and got too frustrated with the Wii U and some stuff. But I just for us, the people who still love the Wii U and really enjoyed it, I'll just start with one frustration just as a tech guy was the lack of a good options for surround sound hookup. There's no optical out for a 5.1 headset or an older surround sound receiver. For me, I actually had decided to upgrade to an HDMI receiver just because of the Wii U, so I could get 5.1. So that was kind of frustrating. And then I guess it would be just the games that didn't come out, the Metroids and stuff, and it was the sales were disappointing. I don't know, we can talk about whose fault that is, but just the system itself. Once the updates kind of sped up, the initial system was pretty slow. So there was the first few months there were pretty bad. System were kind of bricking and stuff. Not you just had to unplug it, plug it back in, but there was some early frustrations that they've fixed since then. And then it was just not continuous support, getting games like Ultra Trash and Amiibo Festival, not they didn't seem to go all in. Once the writing was on the wall, they kind of pulled out. So I really can't think of any other like major frustrations for me. I guess it's just the community itself was the more frustrating part, and Nintendo didn't do it perfect for sure. And it's frustrating just to see how it was received and how people kind of just didn't give it a chance. And I think it's a great system. So I guess those would be kind of my frustrations. Is not exactly directly at the system itself, but anybody want to go next?
I have one. And ironically enough, it goes back to the gamepad because you kind of named all the generalized ones, so I can't really add on to those. But the one thing I couldn't stand, and I still don't fucking like, is the inconsistent use of the gamepad from game to game. And I understand that's a developer standpoint, but at the same time, it ticks me off that like when I like using the touch screen in certain games and then I lose that ability in other games, Smash being the biggest offender, because that damn menu is set up is almost perfect for a touchscreen. You can't touch anything on top of some of the other issues with the OS where sometimes Smash, once again, you couldn't hit the home button in certain areas of the game. Like it just wouldn't let you do it.
Yeah, that's really dumb.
Yeah,
Man, that drove me crazy.
And I don't understand what it is. Like what's going on with the OS and the dang game in which you can't sometimes hit the home button, especially because that was the way you take screenshots on Miiverse and post them there. But I couldn't, and actually that gets into my last thing, which came up when I was playing Pokemon, that for certain games you can't do that at all. Like for whatever reason, Pokemon games, and I don't know why this is, you cannot post pictures at all. You can't post any Miiverse pictures from the game. I don't get why. It's just something that does not happen at all. And then maybe Miiverse being a little bit too locked down, where people were like, "Oh, they did like certain updates to Miiverse, and you couldn't."
People getting banned, you mean?
Well, that's true.
Yeah, those damn
those banned people.
It's like I enjoy Miiverse, but Miiverse was not perfect by any means, and those were the things that kind of ticked me off the most. Was just the inconsistent use of the gamepad, and maybe I guess as a little extra is some of the games not being fully realized with the gamepad. Star Fox Zero being the perfect example for that.
All right. Who wants to go next?
Well, one thing I want to say, I totally agree with Terrell. I actually forgot about that there are some like parts in games where you just can't go to the menu. Like you click home and it won't do it. It's like that doesn't make any
Mostly
sense.
online once you're online.
Yeah, it's like once you're online it doesn't let you. But to me it's like that's totally next the Switch has to let you do that. I mean, you could do that on anything. You know what I mean? You just click it and it goes off.
Like
it doesn't
the PlayStation 3 you could like bring up the overlay, but a lot of the things were restricted while you're in the game. Like you could do messaging and that's about it. Everything else, settings and everything, you had to get out of the game. It would show them to you, but you couldn't access them. So
okay. Well, I mean, you can't even go to the menu though, with the Wii U.
Yeah, but when you're in an online game, there's really not. They don't want you just to go out because then if a match starts or something, then it could be. I see why they did it because they didn't have like that pop-up overlay menu system. But yeah, there was definitely some games where it's like, why can't I?
Yeah, definitely. And then also my biggest complaint is no Animal Crossing. Come on.
You got Animal Crossing. Come on, man.
You got
Don't you like board
damn
games?
Amiibo Festival.
Got it in spirit.
You got the Wara Plaza. I mean,
Yeah, the Animal Crossing Plaza thing. When I saw that, I was just like, "Oh man, I can't wait when they announce it next year." And then the year after, and then the Switch. They announced the NX, and I'm like, "This isn't coming, is it?"
I'm not sure fan.
That was like the sad realization.
That was so sad.
Oh, shit.
You could hear his heart break as he said it.
Yeah.
Another frustrating thing was just how Nintendo didn't seem to be ready for 2013 and it seemed to have a good plan. And delays and games getting canceled. It was.
Why you gotta take mine, man? Why you gotta take
Go ahead.
mine?
You what's yours?
No, just playing. That was kind of mine. I felt like that was frustrating coming out of the gate because I felt like Nintendo didn't come strong with first party. They kind of let third party do their thing out of the gate. And we had new Super Mario Brothers U, which was pretty damn cool. but it just wasn't that title, you know, from Nintendo. And then you had Nintendo Land, but no online, you know, multiplayer with that. And that leads into another frustration, is having to share the damn gamepad. You know, it's like, who gets to use the gamepad when you're playing local? It's just like, I don't want to give up my gamepad. It's the only one I got. Somebody break this, I might have to break somebody. So, you know, Reggie talked about, oh, we're gonna get dual gamepad game. Never happened.
Yeah, what a lie.
Yeah. I don't. Could the Wii U even handle that kind of power? Like streaming to two different gamepads? I don't even know if it could do that. It just
With Wii
almost
graphics,
felt like a lie.
maybe.
Yeah, right. So that, and I think one of my initial disappointments is kind of based on confusion, because there was some confusion coming out of that reveal of the Wii U.
Oh yeah.
The one thing for me was like, remember they were playing like. There was a thing where they were like playing checkers or something on the gamepad only.
Yes.
And
yeah.
So I was thinking there were going to be like little mini games all over the place that you could just play on the gamepad like that. And, you know, didn't happen.
Yeah, that reminds me of, and you probably remember this, T, the Sega Master System had little games, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That you could turn it on without a cartridge in, and there was just like some games like you could play on it.
That was pretty cool, yeah.
That would have been cool for the Wii U, actually. I never thought about that.
Yeah. That's what I thought the Wii U was going to do when they showed that little demo or whatever, that little promo. But none of that stuff came to fruition. So, yeah, and just I didn't get enough Nintendo games. Obviously, we talked about not getting Metroid and stuff like that. And we just didn't get enough core Nintendo, you know. Nope. You know, we got Kirby, you know, but it wasn't Kirby. So... yeah, it's just stuff like that.
All right. How about you, Rob? Did you have any that we didn't mention, or some that maybe we did?
It's tough because, you know, a lot of people have problems with the Wii U in a lot of ways. And it's like there are genuine frustrations like we're kind of talking about. And the easy one is also the games. You know, it's like we can all say, oh, the games is one of my favorite things about the Wii U. But it's weirdly also one of the most frustrating things, too. It's kind of funny how that happens. Because you're totally right. Obviously, Metroid's the biggest one for me. I could cry myself to sleep about it. And... you know, Kirby's great and Captain Toad's great and all this stuff. Animal Crossing, not so great, but it shows that we got what I call those placeholder games. Like, still some pretty good games, but they weren't the true versions that we all wanted. So it really sucks that they kind of dropped the ball on that a little bit. I would have to say that, you know, talking about one of the reasons I never got into Miiverse, I think that OS, that app system OS, as cool as it was for the touchscreen, it created the problems where using things like Miiverse never seemed interesting because of what the process was for the system to move between those. I mean, that was too bad. People talked about it, and it's like, you know, that's a pretty legitimate complaint. It really sucks that the Wii U has to do that, man. And it killed my interest in using the Miiverse, which I do think is cool, but it's just too cumbersome to even deal with. I'm like, I don't want to post on Miiverse, man. Oh, go ahead.
I just want to say it was so weird because there were some games that you didn't have to jump anywhere in the Miiverse. Like New Super Mario Bros. You post in the game. And it showed
they did that right.
There was a lot of games that did that. It was just so weird.
3D
World didn't, like, it's just so weird to have you still have to jump in. You know, you had these games that were like already in sync with it.
So that's what they got like an OS level feature, honestly.
Yeah, that's an OS thing. So
it is definitely an OS thing. And then coming off the same thing of the games, where like the games is like one of the best things, but also a problem. The gamepad, which also one of my favorite things, was so great, but at the same time, because so many opportunities to use it in the right way weren't taken, that drives me crazy. And not so much like the Smash Brothers menus and stuff, even though that is dumb, and I agree with you, Terrell. But I just think of like games where like 3D World could have maybe done a lot of cool things. Donkey Kong, we all know Donkey Kong just it just turned off. And it's like, well, make me do something with that. Like, you got this awesome gamepad. Make me move Diddy Kong around or whatever. And I really, for how much I loved the gamepad, I just wanted it to be awesome in every Wii U game. Don't even get me started on Watch Dogs, of course. That was a big old debacle. Even though I liked the gamepad was a freaking disaster, those idiots. So I really wish that it was taken advantage of as often as, like, when Wonderful 101 and Zombie U knocks out of the park, like, what about all these other games? And that just didn't happen. So I'd say those are probably some of the biggest things for me.
And, sorry, I was... checking something real quick. Did anybody point out the GIMP ports in the beginning of the life?
No, but that's a good one.
Yeah. the fact, and it was Nintendo's fault too, because they didn't give developers the final hardware in time, and they didn't really help them figure out how to use it, you know. And
well, and that even makes me think of the other one I forgot. Building on that is, honestly, I'm fine with the graphics and the power of the console, but if it was more powerful, if it had an internal hard drive and all these different things, it would have made a significant difference on that front. That's one of the things that held it back too.
I think the Wii, a lot of the faults in the Wii U are the faults of the Wii. I just feel like the Wii made Nintendo kind of lazy. So they just kind of like, they kind of gimped into HD because they were, you know, they were riding the gravy train on that Wii. And I actually
like, the
think
gravy
that,
ran out. What do we do?
Yeah. I actually think that, what was it? Tropical Freeze was probably a Wii game, and they converted it over. I think that's one of the reasons you don't have much in the way of gamepad features, or none. You have nothing in the way of gamepad features other than off TV play. I think that was
That's
one
a
of the
really good
reasons.
point. Yeah.
all right, so let's talk about moving forward into the Switch here. You know, we don't know everything about it. We don't know really a lot about it. So things, you know, that Nintendo maybe had hopefully learned from, things maybe they implement into the Switch from the Wii U, or, you know. So I won't go first. I don't want to steal them off. If somebody can think of something, whether you want them to have learned from the Wii U and not have it in the Switch, or something you liked in the Wii U that you really hope, like I said, off TV play, where you're actually, your TV's playing, you know, a show or a football game, and then you can play your game off screen. You know, that's obviously going to be there. So that would be an example of something that Nintendo, and it's still an idea they took from the Wii U that works on the Switch. And there might not be a whole lot. I don't know if anybody can think of anything. And the other part of this would be, how has the Wii U's failure maybe impacted Nintendo moving forward? Since the system is a failure in that it, you know, didn't reach a mass audience. We don't know if it was profitable.
Commercial failure.
Yeah, I don't know if it was profitable or not. You know, really, they haven't. Well, maybe we'll never know. But so Terrell, you start. So why don't you go ahead?
Yeah. I guess for the first part, a quick, easy one is what we were talking about before, how certain games didn't have consistent gamepad features, where like certain games you could easily post the Miiverse and you couldn't.